Good morning, early game crew. 1 week after a 31-7 loss to Vanderbilt, we're going to sit here and we're going to react again to another SEC loss. Final score from Saturday night in Columbia, Missouri. The Missouri Tigers 29, the South Carolina Gamecocks 20. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorn. She's Jen Jensen. We'll be taking your calls and your text messages all day today. 803-404-6100, Firehouse Subs text line, AAA Heating and Air phone lines. And if you guys feel the same way as you did on Saturday night during our watch party on YouTube, it's not good.
Which, shout out to everybody who joined us. It was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun.
We had a great time watching the game with y'all, talking, answering questions. You can see our immediate, this is the Monday reaction, so this is measured, but you can see our immediate reactions on Saturday, and that was really a lot of fun. I want to start here really quickly again because there's going to be a lot to discuss. But my main point of contention is that we wasted another opportunity on a Clemson loss. We wasted another opportunity.
Can't even enjoy it.
We can't even enjoy the Dabos taking the mighty L.
Yeah, but they lost worse.
They did.
At home.
You know, like
At
ours
home.
was at least closer, a little more competitive. We shot ourselves in the foot. They just played really bad.
I just want the reverse, right?
Me too.
If we lose early and then Clemson loses, I go to bed feeling a little bit better. It's like, okay, whatever.
That alleviates it.
It alleviates it a little bit. But when they lose first and then, we still have to play the game and the game goes the way that it went, especially the way we played, we'll dig into all of the things that did or did not happen. Just leaves a sour taste in your mouth for a Saturday night. But aside from that, great day.
Where do you want to start with this? Do we want to start with the penalties, the rushing performance, wasting a good passing game on offense? Because we've talked all week. I think last week the theme was the offense is broken and needs fixing. You finally were able to move the ball. You finally scored more than 17 points under Mike Shula's play calling tutelage. And I think, honestly, the play calling was better. You were able to move the ball through the air. But then you kept shooting yourself in the foot with penalties. If it's not one thing, it's another. And that's the sign of your issues being a little deeper than just one or two things. It's better than or worse than just having some good and having some bad. You negated so much of the good stuff you did because you committed 14 penalties. And as good as your passing game was at times on Saturday night, it didn't matter because you couldn't run the ball at all.
Yeah, last week we said it was akin to having a whack-a-mole type of deal where you have to fix this and then fix this, and you're trying to fix this, and then something else pops up. It's like the old cartoon where you're putting the finger in the wall, and then the water comes out of here, and then you put the toe over here, and the water comes out of here. And that's the way it feels with this offense, and this is now a quarter into the season, and I think we can make some fair assessments about the offense. We have yet to have a 100-yard rusher.
Yep.
Correct.
That hurts.
We've yet to have a 100-yard rusher. We've yet to have a rusher with 20-plus carries. And so the concept that we were told about running the ball and that being the focus, that's obviously not it. And I'm fine with that. Maybe this was a sign to abandon that strategy from this point forward.
But that's not going to be your identity this year?
It might not be. And maybe it's what you thought it was and it doesn't end up being. But this game solidified, if you had some opinions about play calling, execution, in some instances effort, you had all of those priors confirmed by watching this game.
The execution thing to me is the biggest glaring issue because it reared its ugly head on Saturday on a couple of really key plays. The false starts are killers because anytime you get a penalty, especially on first down, you set yourself back up on a 1st and 15, it's just so much harder to be able to move the ball. Your average third down distance was 12 and a half yards. 12 and a half. And that's a product of early down penalties and putting yourself behind the sticks that much earlier. You still had 8 negative plays because of a lack of execution at the line of scrimmage. And on one play specifically, to me, the turning point in the game is you get a explosive pass play to get to the Missouri 2-yard line. And on 1st and goal, you take a sack that you cannot take, and it started up front with Rasul Faison completely whiffing on a block and Lenore Sellers having to abandon the play immediately. Again, still can't take the sack because of what's on the line right there. You got to find a way to get rid of that ball. But, man, that play had no hope from the jump because you failed to execute even one of the more important parts of the play, which is the protection.
Yeah, I mean, Rasul turned it down. And that's the only way that you can say that he turned it down. He didn't stick his face in the fan. He didn't want to do any of the execution things. And if I was going to shoot him some bail and say maybe he was trying to chop block.
Guess what? That's a flag.
That's a flag. You can't do that anymore. So it's not even a thing. Maybe when he first started playing football, it was a thing.
You
But
can do that.
We can't do that anymore. So that goes to this. The player failed to execute, but also there's this saying in coaching circles, either you coach it or you allow it. And so is that his first time doing that? If you knew he was going to turn the block down, should he have been in the game? Can you depend on that particular person to get it done in that situation? A lot of things happen on that particular sequence. And when you was watching it in real time, 100% of the blame I put on Lenore's. Lenore's can't take that sack. Lenore's has to do better than that. And he does.
Yes.
But on the rewatch,
two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate play, that two things can be true at the same time. And you can't have two things of them be true at the same time and both of them be bad.
correct. Two
Right.
bad things.
Two bad things, right? Happened at once that were really bad and detrimental. And you still score points on the drive. However, getting 3 as opposed to 7 turned out to take you out of the game later in the game, because all it took for Missouri to deliver the kill shot was a field goal late in the game to make it a 9-point game. And at that point, it's 2 possessions, done, finito, over.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have to be that way because you put yourself in that position. We also can't let the defense off the hook, too.
Oh, no.
Because that was not the greatest tackling display that we saw on Saturday night. All week when we were talking about this Missouri team, we talked about Ahmad Hardy. And if you don't think Ahmad Hardy is the best running back in college football right now, I need evidence to the contrary to actually make me believe that he's not, because I have a hard time not only believing that Ahmad Hardy is the best running back in college football right now, he should be in Heisman talks. He ran the ball 22 times for 138 in a touchdown. And again, the missed tackle monster did what he did, and South Carolina could not wrap him up. And in the second half, after not doing the zone run stretch play all first half, that's seemingly all Missouri did in the second half, and they got whatever they wanted on that play.
You knew it was coming. You knew exactly what it was. If you was watching the game and say you felt helpless, imagine how the players felt on the field. You knew what they were going to run, and they executed at an extremely high level. And I think when you talk about that, the reason why they're able to execute that is because they understand what they're doing. They rep it in practice. You rep it over and over and over again. You rep several different scenarios, how you block it if he's doing this, how you block it if he's doing that. And then you walk into the game and you say, when it comes down to it, we're going to run this play, and we're going to run it well. And they did that.
They absolutely did. Our first caller of the day goes to Ernest, 803-404-6100. It's the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Ernest, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning. Preston, you hit a point. Either you coach it or you allow it. Look at our coaches on the South Carolina football team. They all have records of 500 or less. Mike Shula, NFL, 41 and 44, below 500. Other coaches on the team, below 500, or they don't have really any experience. Is this acceptable going forward? No. We need to do better. Hire better coaches.
That's certainly one part.
I mean, we have talent on our team. Lenore Sellers, he is a Heisman quarterback, but we're wasting the talent. And I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, thank you for your call, Ernest. I mean, look, it wasn't a good coaching day, mostly because the execution stuff is stuff that you have to prepare for before the season, and then you have to really start nailing down once you get a couple of games in. Once you realize, okay, this is what we're not doing during games. This is what's happening. Got to be able to correct it. And the frustrating thing is sometimes with each game, they're different mistakes.
Right.
It's different stuff. It's whack-a-mole. And when you're playing whack-a-mole with the problems, that means we can go into the next game, and one thing might be fixed, but then if another one pops up, you're not able to gain any progress.
The old adage: if it ain't one thing, it's another, and that's where it feels with this offense. And when you have an offense like that, like you just said, it's very difficult to focus on what you need to get accomplished, because the more time you spend on this, the less time you spend on that, or the more time you spend on that, then this pops back up, and so you keep having to try to play that balancing type game. But going back to what Ernest said about the talent of Lenora Sellers, you saw it on display. There were several elite passes that he threw, dropped it in the bucket a couple of times, threaded the needle, however you want to describe throws. He did it several times. That third and 37
where he's on the run and he goes off his back foot and fires an absolute missile to Nick Harbor on the sideline, but as accurately as you could do it, you saw the flashes of what we know Lenora Sellers can be.
Yeah, so I mean, the idea of arm talent, we saw that on display. Did not have enough QB runs to my liking, as I called for, begged for all last week. Did not have that. I think if you do not do that, then you are effectively taking out the thing that makes him the most special. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't have that, then he comes back to the field as a quarterback who has very solid arm talent, but you're taking away the thing that makes him the most special.
And here's the thing, too. If teams are playing him differently, which I do believe they are, right? I do believe defensive coordinators are saying we're going to do everything we can so number 16 doesn't just run all over us. You have to make them pay another way. And they were able to do that better on Saturday night to the tune of 302 passing yards. And Lenora Sellers, who in his 2 full games this season attempted 19 passes against Virginia Tech and then 19 passes against Missouri. He threw the ball 28 times and accounted for 22, and the team accounted for 22 rushes. The team did. Now, of course, with 5 sacks in the equation, I think you can subtract that from 22. So that's what, 17? So you ran the ball 17 times, threw it 28. I think pretty early on you realize you can't run the ball. I think that number from 28 has to go up. If they're playing him differently, now you're just going to have to move the pocket and let him do what he does, which we saw on that 3rd and 37 play. Again, it shouldn't have to be 3rd and 37 to begin with, and that was one of the big problems, is that you can make a really good play on that play, but if it's not spectacular or go for 38 yards or more, it's not going to be a success, and you don't move the chains.
Yeah, and as I said, not many offensive coordinators have the magic 3rd and 38 play on the call sheet.
Yeah, they don't have that.
It's not, you're not deep in the bag when you have that one, so it's not something you plan to get into.
We'll take more of your calls. Joe is on the line, so we'll take that call coming up next. Got to hit a break right here. We'll take Joe's call. We'll also look at the criteria this team set out for themselves before the season. We will judge them by those numbers. All that coming up next here on Reaction Monday in the early game.
We ended up doing a little bit of remodeling in a couple of bathrooms, decided we needed some countertops. Where should we go? It was recommended that we go to Carolina Stone Craftsman just outside Columbia in Chapin. We learned that they understand that a bath project like that, even a kitchen project, can be a significant investment, and that's why they make it a priority to deliver the most affordable granite, marble, and quartz while still delivering the highest quality countertops and service that you really should expect with every transaction. Visited their showroom, so much to choose from. They were very helpful in the education process so we could decide exactly what we were looking or exactly what we wanted. And every step of the process was flawless. If you are in the market for some countertops for your kitchen or bath, I encourage you to reach out to Carolina Stone Craftsman and be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. They are family owned and operated. Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia in Chapin. And I assure you, beyond your expectations, visit them online, carolinastonecraftsman.com. Looking good to start off your Monday morning. No accidents to report. So obviously, we'd like to keep it that way today. Cloudy 87, sunny and 90 tomorrow, 92 on Wednesday, 91 on Thursday. Chance for some afternoon or evening storms coming in on Thursday. But definitely for being the first day of fall, not totally feeling like fall for the next several days. 64 right now is where we start the morning on the early game.
I think it's hard to say. It's one bad night when we've had the number of pre-snap penalties that we've had, and it wasn't just the offense tonight, David. It was the offense. It was the special teams not snapping a ball because we couldn't hear, kicking a ball out of bounds. I mean, those are pre-snap penalties too. So, the definition of insanity is continue to do the same thing over and over again. So, when you have 14 penalties on the road, something's got to change. Starting with me.
That was Shane Beamer talking about the 14 penalties committed by South Carolina in a 9-point loss in Columbia, Missouri on Saturday night. We're continuing to take your reaction on Reaction Monday, 803-404-6100. Joe is on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Joe, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Hey, man. Good morning, guys. Preston, you're spot on, man. If it ain't one thing, it's another. I enjoyed the game, but every time I would enjoy something, we'd do something stupid to make me say, gosh, man, now I don't enjoy the game. Then we do something good again. I mean, like, great play. Then we do something else stupid to say, golly, they're driving me nuts. We get a first down. Next play, 5-yard penalty. We're down at the 2-yard line. First and goal at the 2-yard line, and we call a pass play? I would have if we would have went down 4 runs in a row. We can't score 4 runs in a row from the 2-yard line. We have real serious problems, guys. It was just so much good, but then it was so much bad. I don't understand it. Are these guys? Is it the youth in them? Is it that they still yet need? I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm puzzled by that game. I really am. But I'm still here at Gamecock. I believe in these guys, and I think I hope and believe that they'll get better. I really do. But it's just too many bonehead mistakes, man. So when you guys do the next episode of Get on the Line, no one should be excused from that. Everybody should get on the line. Everybody.
Coaches included.
Everybody get on the line.
That's right, Jen. Everyone. No one. Listen, you're not dismissed from this. Just get on the line. I don't care who you are. Defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, whoever. The water guy. Get on the line. Everybody. So I look forward for us getting better, man. I just look forward to us getting better. Go Gamecocks, man.
Appreciate it as always, later. Joe.
Yeah, appreciate it, Joe. I mean, with the 14 penalties, I think. And here's the thing. 6 different players committed offensive penalties in that game. And there were a couple of false starts where, it doesn't, going back and looking at it, I'll have to go back and watch the game in its entirety to get the specifics on 2 of those false start penalties because they're not attributed to anybody on stat broadcast.
Yeah, it just says the line.
It just says the line. Yeah. I mean, maybe they just couldn't hammer home one person who committed false starts, right? It was multiple. They were team false starts. That's going to negate all the good stuff you do in a football game. It's an absolute momentum killer.
And so when we look at trying to evaluate them based on what they have in their indoor facility and how they gauge themselves, when we look at what they did, it's going to be tough.
Here's a refresher, and we talked about this during the summer, and we said that after every game we would apply this to their performance, run the ball and stop the run, win the turnover battle, dominate the fourth quarter, win the explosive play battle, and play smart football. We'll start with running the ball and stopping the run. Brent Key would not enjoy watching this game if you were a South Carolina fan at all. Now, for the entire game, because in college football, they include sack yardage in your rushing total. Again, stupid, but this is the reality we live in, so we will play by their rules. Missouri outgained South Carolina 285 to -9. South Carolina was in the red in the running game throughout 4 quarters of football. Now, if you take just the sack-adjusted yards per rush, which is kind of my favorite way of measuring whether or not you ran the ball and stopped the run, clearly you're not going to win that either. But the final tally on that one was 6.2 yards per rush for Missouri, 2.2 for South Carolina. Still a 4-yard per carry gap. That is a gap that is Grand Canyon-esque. Now for turnovers. South Carolina did win the turnover battle because they did not turn the ball over on offense, with the exception of turning over and downs.
Though not for lack of trying.
Not for lack of trying.
Because Lenoris tried to give them the ball twice.
He got away with it twice.
Right.
There were 2 real instances of getting away with it.
Yeah. But it doesn't count.
It didn't count, and Gerald Kilgore's interception was the only turnover accounted for in this game.
Awesome play.
A great play from Gerald. That was awesome. Dominate the fourth quarter. But aside from losing the fourth quarter 11-0, you had 3 drives on offense. 2 of them you went 3 and out. The third you went 4 and out. You didn't gain a single first down in the fourth quarter. Win the explosive play battle. Mizzou won that 15-8. They almost doubled you up on explosive plays. And it wasn't because Bo Perbula was slinging it around the yard looking like Peyton Manning. 11 of those 15 for Missouri, explosive run plays. All of Carolina's explosive plays were passing plays.
Mm-hmm.
Play smart football. Do I even have to say it?
Yeah, when you have 14 penalties, that's not being smart.
That's an automatic disqualifier.
Yeah, because they came in the form of pre-snap penalties. They came post-snap. They came after the whistle.
Mm-hmm.
So in every single category in which you could get penalties, this team succeeded.
They went to the penalty buffet and completely emptied that thing out.
Give me an unnecessary roughness. I'll take a little bit of that.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of false start. Pile that on.
Let me take like 3 scoops of the false start. You know what? Let's sprinkle in a little illegal formation here.
And then with all of that, overindulging on all of that, then they did have something explosive.
Right, yeah. And you know what? That still wasn't enough explosiveness to win.
Right.
That was still not as much explosiveness as Missouri displayed. Even that isn't good enough.
What a brilliant analogy. Because I'm looking around and then while he's walking down the team's walking down the line and they're like, ooh, holding? I'll take some more. Give me some more of the holding.
You ever been to like a Golden Corral or a Ryan's or any insert buffet here and there's that one person? It's always a man. There's one guy there that always has so much on the plate, and it's just like bleeding onto each other, and it just becomes eventually like this large pile of food that almost becomes sentient because it's just so big, and you get grossed out by looking at it. Well, that was Carolina with penalties. AAA Heating and Air phone lines, 803-404-6100. Steve is on the line with us. Steve, good morning. Thanks for calling into the early game.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I watched that game Saturday night, and I woke up 4 o'clock this morning to watch it again because it came on 4 o'clock this morning, and I set my alarm to make sure I can watch it again. And I'm telling you, I said it last week, there's a player development problem in that coaching staff. There's no way around it. That's what I keep hearing, Beamer, we got to change this, got to change that. I hate hearing coaches say it, but they're not producing it. And those NFL offensive plays is not going to work in college football. Because I watched NFL yesterday and I compared the Carolina offense. These are young guys. They're trying to get to the next level. NFL players, they're bigger, they're stronger. They can do that. College football cannot have NFL offensive plays. And that's what Mike Shula's calling if you watch the games. When they got to the 2-yard line, I like to jump through my TV because Lenore Sellers had an eye. He could have ran right through it. And go back and look at that play. When he got sacked, he had an opening. All that just goes straight through the middle. I'm not understanding it. Just like Joe said, I'm a Gamecock fan. I will always be a Gamecock fan. But I take my hat off to the Clemson fans. I wish we was in that situation to have one bad season in 10 years. But I don't know. It's a player development problem there. You can be a coach, but can you develop? That's the question. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate your call, Steve. I mean, those are very fair concerns, man. Those are very fair concerns because execution and a lack thereof is part of development. Part of developing players is being able to execute the plays, right? And no matter what plays you call, if you don't execute them, then they're doomed from the start. And I'll use the same example Steve used right there. The 1st and goal, once you make an incredible play to get the ball down deep into Missouri territory, you completely negate it because of poor execution on a play where Rasul Faison whiffs on a block and your quarterback takes a sack that you just cannot take in that situation. That's kind of a microcosm of what happened on Saturday night. We'll continue to take your calls. We got a couple more of them as well, and we'll also bring back out the STP metric. And again, not good, but we will look at the STP. And we'll tell you what that is coming up next.
It's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. I tell you what, when we had to have cabinets replaced in the kitchen, it wasn't something that we really were looking to do, but we were forced into it due to a flood, and they made the process so much better. I'm talking about CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. They do all kinds of help. They were very helpful in us picking out what cabinetry we needed, showed us some kind of fun accessories that we could include, got that photorealistic rendering, which is a picture of our finished kitchen before it was even finished. So helpful to find other things to finish out the kitchen when the cabinets were ready. And I'm telling you, they're available for things like bathroom cabinetry, which we've used them for as well. You don't have to do a whole remodel to utilize their services. They can help you get things more organized in a pantry, maybe even a closet. Visit chwcabinetry.com. Call them today at 803-520-6837. Tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation. Still looking good for your Monday morning. No accidents, no significant slowdowns, and not feeling like the first day of fall today. 87 is the high we're expecting. 90 tomorrow. 92 on Wednesday. The overnight low Tuesday into Wednesday and Thursday mornings. It's going to be 70. Oh, my goodness. 92 on Wednesday. A chance for some afternoon or evening storms on Thursday. High of 91, but 64 currently on 107.5 The Game.
803-404-6200. That's the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Adam is on the line, patiently waiting. Appreciate your patience there, Adam. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning, guys. -9 rushing yards, give up 285 rushing yards, 98 yards in penalties, yet still a chance to win the game. I mean, just imagine if we had 50 yards rushing. We probably won that game easily. But yet, after the game, you hear all these Gamecock fans calling in saying, oh, let's fire Shula. Let's get rid of Shula. He's the issue. I mean, why? He probably can't even run half his playbook because we can't run the ball. I mean, I truly can't say fire Shula just yet whenever I've seen potential with the passing game. Look what's going on with the running game. Who's that to blame? The offensive line coach? I mean, really, I think something's got to be done. This has been an issue, seems like, for a few years now, and I just don't think Lonnie Teasley is the answer. I'll hang up and take your answers.
Appreciate that, Adam.
I mean, when you put up
measured,
when you put up -9 yards, you have to look at somebody. I would just like to mention though, Lonnie Teasley is the offensive line coach. However, if you look at the org chart for the offense, you have offensive coordinator, and then there's another coordinator, Sean Elliott, who is, what's his title?
The run game coordinator, along with tight ends coach.
He's the run game coordinator. And so if you're just looking at the run game, the person who has to be directly responsible would have to be the run game coordinator because that is his title. So what does that mean and what is he doing in the building? I don't know. But if you're the run game coordinator, you have to be responsible for the run game. And then from there, be the O-line coach also. Not saying anybody should be spared, but I think that part of the equation is often left out. But, Adam, that was a great call.
And one thing I like about Adam's calls, too, is you still, as poorly as you played, had the lead going into the fourth quarter, and you just couldn't take advantage of it. You could have gotten away with playing poorly.
I thought Adam was going to put on some guarded goggles there for a second. I mean, he had me, he's like, despite -9 yards, despite this, still, in fact, when you go and read Missouri, if you go and look on the over the line and you look at how they covered the game, they covered it as a comeback win.
I don't know if it's that much of a comeback win.
That's how they're phrased. That's the narrative that they're going with. And technically, they did come back in the third quarter, right?
They did technically come back.
So
yes.
It's just interesting. It's just interesting how people are phrasing it. But Adam, I do think that is measured, and you saw how that game sort of turned out. With that being said,
yeah, and then defensively too. One texter on the Firehouse Subs text line says, didn't see any defensive adjustments. Another one says the defensive line was a cheese grater. The offensive line was a cheese grater. What kind of asinine performance was that? Good Lord. That's the first time I've ever heard anybody describe any line of scrimmage as a cheese grater. I like it. I might start using that. So whoever you are, ma'am or sir, I am going to start using that. And I guess I got to set the scene here. Got a text from one Preston Thorn last night. Said, I think this is a good time to bring back out the STP analytic. And for the first time since I've been on the show, I think it's time to look at this game throughout the lens of the STP analytic.
Go stupid. Go stupid. Tell me when to go. Tell me when to go. Tell me when to go. Tell me when to go.
This is the STP analytic. I don't do many analytics, but this one came from Dow Loggers last year, where he specifically said that the way you lose games is by you give up sacks, turnovers, and penalties, hence the STP metric. And with this STP metric, we dominated.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. You don't want to be at the high level of the STP. So for sacks, obviously, 5 sacks. We gave up 5. They gave up 1. We did win the turnover battle.
There was a goose egg, despite some of your efforts at times.
We tried, despite trying to give it to them, we did win the turnover battle. And obviously, dramatically lost or won, however you want to look at it, the penalty battle. 14 penalties, 98 yards. So
almost
overall,
tripled them up.
Overall, when you look at the STP for us, we had a total of 19 to their 7. 5 sacks, 14 turnovers. That is not winning football. We've said that. We know that. We understand that that's not winning football. And we know that that's just going to be a way that you cannot win. You can't win a high-quality SEC game when your STP metric is looking at like this: 5 sacks, 14 penalties. That's not going to be winning football.
Yeah. In total, 19-7 once all added up.
Mm-hmm.
More than doubled them, almost tripled them up on STP.
And I think we talk about it. I think it's worth talking about again. But the sack that encapsulates, I think, the game is 1st and 2, going in, sack. You get 3 points out of that possession, changes the whole tenor of the ball game.
Got 3 points, and you needed 7. 803-446-200. Again, that's the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Marv is on the line. Marv, appreciate you calling in. Good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Hey, good morning, guys. You guys, before the preseason, talked a lot about Biggins, and I wanted to ask you and Preston a question. Would you rather have your definition of a biggin, or would you rather have a 6'4", 290 guy that's a nasty? And I'll hang up and listen.
Ooh, I love the wording of that.
I love the wording of that.
Nasty.
See, and the issue is you would prefer for your biggin to also be a nasty. A big and nasty would be preferable. That's what you would love.
Not to be confused with the Big and Tasty,
Yes.
formerly of the McDonald's menu.
But, Marv, I agree with you. If I had to choose one or the other, I would definitely choose a nasty as opposed to a biggin. But the thing with the nasty is you can't quantify that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just look on the paper and say, oh, he qualifies. You have to see that. Or you could coach that into it. And we have not seen that with the offensive line. We saw 1 or 2 glimpses during the Vanderbilt drive of there being some glimpse of nasty. But by and large, you do not see that from this offensive line.
No, and that's been a really big issue.
Great astute observation, Mark.
Yes, because they need to have that dog in them too. And that kind of reflects the run game numbers. In terms of non-sacks, 2.2 yards a carry is not going to be able to get it done. And so much of run blocking is doing what Will Muschamp used to say, put your face in the fan. A lot of it is violently aggressive. That's why some of your best offensive linemen throughout the history of football, their whole MO was they love to run block because they got to be the hammer. They got to be the one going out there and pancaking folks and putting dudes on the ground and creating running lanes. Missouri was a lot better at that. Even their backup left tackle who had to play because all SEC left tackle Caden Green was not available. They reveled in the chance to get to move the line of scrimmage left to right or right to left on that outside zone play, and they just hammered and hammered and hammered away the entire second half, and that's what made the big difference in the game. We have more of your calls. Hold tight. We'll get right to you on the other side as you're listening to a Reaction Monday of the early game. Back to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines, 803-404-6100. It's Reaction Monday, reacting to Carolina's 29-20 loss to Missouri on Saturday night. And we'll get out to Anthony, who has been patiently waiting over the break. Anthony, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning, Jen. Good morning, guys. How y'all doing this morning?
Fantastic.
I just have a few questions for y'all, man, that I would like to get to know. But here after halftime, about the third and fourth quarter, Norris was just really throwing deep balls the whole time, trying to get that kill shot. And I was just wondering on y'all's guys' opinion of like why we couldn't just throw slants or a few check downs to work our way towards their end zone to maybe take a field goal or have a better opportunity of like running in a touchdown. And I'll hang up and listen. Thank you, guys.
I think it's a really good observation there, Anthony, because I was telling Preston before, because I was looking at the Pro Football Focus, some of the numbers, and I talk about ADOT a lot, your average depth of target, and it's been consistently for Lenora Sellers 7 to 8 yards, right, for the average distance the ball goes in the air. On Saturday night, the ADOT was 15.6. 15.6. Now, in terms of passing depth, 35% of his passes traveled 20 yards down the field in the air. And I think one of the reasons why, because they were pretty successful on it. I mean, they picked up 18 yards per attempt on that, which you'll take. And that was clearly, by far and away, the best throws he made in the game. 4 passes traveled 10 to 19 yards, and 6 traveled 0 to 9. 5 were behind the line of scrimmage. So it's an accurate observation. I think, to go to that, Anthony, too, I think this team definitely needs to just throw the ball more, because it might end up being your best play.
Well, you called for it all week. You called for more short passes to sort of extend the running game. Not that you had a hunch that we would be able to run for -9 yards.
Did not foresee that.
Didn't foresee that, but you did call for it. So that is a great way, Anthony, of the analytics backing up your observation. So pat yourself on the back, Anthony. You are correct.
10 attempts. 10 of the 28 attempts traveled 20-plus yards down the field. And, I mean, and just looking by the numbers, too, that was, again, the most successful play in terms of passing depth, because you did pick up 18 yards per attempt on that. And if you connect on those, then it helps. But I do love the idea of just using the quick-hitting passing game as a replacement for your run game if you're not able to run the ball. Maybe we should have seen more of that instead of trying to run the ball, because in terms of passes be either behind the line of scrimmage or 0 to 9 yards, that accounted for 11 passes. You still ran the ball in terms of handoffs or design runs 17 times.
And again, based on, we're still trying to figure out what the game plan is, because there are NFL pro-style offenses that are strictly based on the vertical passing game. We want to get downfield. We want to take shots. If that's what we are, cool. But we haven't been told that's what we are. We haven't seen that's what we are. And so, again, you didn't have to watch Missouri a bunch of times to know that, hey, they run this outside stretch. That is their offense. If that was your first time watching Missouri, after about 7 times, you'd be like, oh, that's what they want to do.
That's what they do, yeah.
This is now 4 games into us watching Carolina football, and I challenge anybody to figure out, to make a definitive statement of saying this is what we want to do. I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see more consistency on that point, too, because the time for figuring things out is dwindling, if not done. We'll go to David on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. David, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning. I've got a baffling question I hope somebody can answer, because I've been watching football for a long, long time, and I've never seen a team have the ball with 5 minutes to play down 6 when the rushing yardage was 245 to -10. Before Missouri got that last field goal, South Carolina was within 1 score of winning the game. A Lenore Sellers game-winning drive, a game in which they had absolutely no business winning. And I'm trying to figure out, if Missouri didn't have 4 turnovers, which they didn't, and Carolina had all those penalties and gave up all those sacks, how in the world are they within 1 score with a rushing disparity like that? Because typically, if you see a rushing disparity like that, you're looking at least a 4-score game. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, normally it is a 4-score game when the running imbalance is that large. I think Carolina hit a lot of explosive passing plays, and that made up for a lot of it. I mean, if you just look at the scoring plays for Carolina, a 49-yard touchdown reception to Vandrevis Jacobs, 24-yard touchdown reception to Brian Rowe. Those were the two touchdowns. And then you had field goals. One of those field goals by William Joyce had to be a 36-yarder because you got down to the 2-yard line of Missouri's and then took a sack, and it was almost impossible to get in the end zone from there. But that long, explosive passing play set up another score. That's the only thing I got for you in terms of how that ended up being the case.
Yeah, there's a metric. I have to find it on Twitter. I believe it's by Parker Fleming, and it kind of does the how bad did we really get beat. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes it takes all the numbers, and sometimes the score doesn't indicate it. I hope this score, being this relatively close, doesn't mask the fact that they got dominated on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and I think what might skew that is because you did hit some explosive pass plays.
Because you have the dude.
Yes. and I mean, 302 yards through the air to Missouri's 171 probably made a big difference there, but it only kept you in the game, didn't win you the game. Hour number 2 comes up next.
All right, y'all, football is here, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. And you can play right now in South Carolina. Playing Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Tonight, I'm going to take Derrick Henry to go higher than 84.5 rushing yards. That's Derrick Henry to go higher than 84.5 rushing yards. Download the app today and sign up for promo code EARLYGAME to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code EARLYGAME. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in South Carolina. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and gets terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Old Charleston Road at Edmond Highway. That is an accident to be mindful of. Again, that's Old Charleston Road at Edmond Highway. Forecast looking pretty nice. 87 today, 90 tomorrow, be in the low 90s through Thursday. And Thursday is the first chance to see some afternoon or evening thunderstorms and a chance for some scattered thunderstorms on Friday as well. But first day of fall, kind of feeling like we're still in the summer a little bit. 64 currently on 107.5 The Game.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorns. She's Jen Jensen. We are reacting to South Carolina's 29-20 loss to Missouri on Saturday. Gamecocks fall to 2-2 overall and 0-2 in SEC play. You never want your record to share a same first name as Owen Wilson.
I don't like it. Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Don't want there.
And unfortunately, that is the reality for the Gamecocks. 2 games in to SEC play. We'll go back to our AAA heating and air phone lines because it is indeed Reaction Monday. David is on the line with us. David, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Hey, good morning. How are y'all?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. Question, and was there any other games on Saturday where a team had more penalty yards than rushing yards? If there was, tell me, 'cause I didn't see it.
Oh, that's a good question.
Good question.
I might have to grab my shovel and do some digging.
But David, we can even take it a step further. They actually had more penalties than rushing yards.
Right.
Not even penalty yards, just penalties raw.
Right. And to follow up with that, Preston, you've played for South Carolina. You've been following the team. I've been following the team forever. Why is it South Carolina cannot handle any expectations or they can't handle any hype? Because it seems like anytime there's any hype around this program, they always fall flat. They always seem to mess it up in some way, shape, or form. Is that a coaching thing? Is it a personnel thing? Is it just getting in their own head? What is it? I've been a Gamecock fan for 20-something years. Why can't we have anything nice? I'll hang up and listen. Thank y'all.
It sounds like he's not the only one wondering that either. There's somebody else wanting to get on that call and say, "What happened, Dad?
Yeah.
What happened?"
Unfortunately, that's part of the ethos, man. And we've been saying, and now we have to come on here and say, "Hey, man, maybe things have changed." Because in the offseason, we were like, "Hey, man, get on board. It's time for us to have some nice things. Enjoy it." And you're right, David. We have not. We're basically laying an egg right now based on those narratives. I think that's a very deep dive that we could look into. But for this specific team, I think there were questions that needed to be answered preseason. I was going under the presumption that based on the 9-win season, the job that the coaches had done prior to this, I gave the coaches the benefit of the doubt that they would get those questions answered. And it doesn't seem like they have. And so that's just for me. That's why I was so excited going into the year. But there were some obvious questions that if people brought them up, they were fair in bringing them up. And unfortunately, they're not getting answered right now.
I think coming into the season, we liked what this team had on offense because you had 16.
Mm-hmm.
You liked what you saw at the end of the year from Nick Harbor. You liked bringing in a rusher in Rasul Faison, who did carry the ball a lot for Utah State last year and ran for over, 1,100 yards. And then you liked a lot of the continuity. So you figured that would be what was ahead of schedule first. And then defensively, it said, okay, that might be the thing that needs to be carried along by the offense. Well, then early in the season, that swaps, right? Against Virginia Tech, the defense was incredible. Kept Virginia Tech out of the end zone, forced turnovers, played incredible. Offense did enough to win the game. And then you don't give up, the starting unit doesn't give up a touchdown against South Carolina State, but the offense struggled. And then you finally gave up touchdowns as a defensive unit against Vanderbilt, Lenoris got hurt. Offense still struggled to be able to take advantage of any drive that got past midfield. And then on Saturday night, you finally scored 20 points. Good. Still not enough to win. And defensively, you had your worst game of the year when it comes to missed tackles. You missed a lot of tackles against Vanderbilt. You missed even more on Saturday night against Missouri. So now you're in SEC play, and you're averaging somewhere around along the lines of 13, 14 missed tackles a game. Not going to get it done on the defensive side of the ball. And after 2 games, you thought that was your strength. Now you don't know what your strength is because offense, while technically getting better in the point department, still wasn't good enough to win you games. And now we're kind of left after 4 games figuring out what is the blueprint for this team to win football games.
And that's not a great place to be because if we're trying to figure it out, then they're trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
As any quality team, any good team knows exactly how they win games. And it can be won in a various of ways. You have teams that know, hey, listen, we're going to go in there, we're going to win shootouts. We're going to win 42-35. Defense, we just need to get one stop. The big stop will get it, and we'll play offense. There's other teams that know, hey, man, we're going to win these games 24-21. It's going to be a slobber knocker, and that's what we do. But that's where you want to get into identity. And unfortunately, the identity of this team right now is that they're not tackling well, and they make a lot of costly mistakes that are – the identity of this team right now is lack of discipline, unfortunately. That's what it is. And it's going to take a couple of games to turn that around because that's where they are right now.
Looking at the defense, too, we did get a text on the Firehouse Hubs text line. It says, should the defense be held accountable for missed tackles? Yes, absolutely. But tackling is going to always be what is preached every game, every year. I'm not saying we let them off the hook, just can we not set the hook so deep? Hardy's going to do that to every team Mizzou plays, and it was the defense that kept us in the game with the interception because we scored following the turnover.
We're going to get to this in the morning meeting. You have to give credit to him, and there's early buzz, and unfortunately, if he does make a run for the Heisman, we'll be on some of those tapes. We'll be on some of those highlights, right?
A lot of them, yes.
You're always going to play good players. Good players are going to get theirs, but I always position that the idea of all yards are not created equal. 285 on the ground doesn't feel the same way as 285 in the air, right? We threw for 300 yards. Does it feel like we were that impressive on offense? Not really. But when you run for 285, it hurts.
Because it's death by usually death by 1,000 paper cuts, but these are a little deeper than paper cuts because Ahmad Hardy, in terms of what he averaged per carry, he was averaging 6 yards a carry, and he was averaging 5 yards after contact. So if we just put those 2 pieces of information together, you're getting to him a yard after the line of scrimmage, and he fights for 5 more after that. That feels like you just lost the physicality battle, and that's why he was able to pick up so many yards. Like, sure, you held him under his season average in yards per carry because his yards per carry average was like 9 coming into the game. But 6 is still just gashing you, and that is something that just can't happen, too. Jamal Roberts carried it for over 5.8 per carry. And so when the backup running back's doing that to you, too, there's starting to be a common denominator in what's going on. And you know what, and here's the thing, too. You knew what they're going to do. You just couldn't do it. You couldn't stop it, right? Second half, it was all outside zone. We mentioned in the watch party when we're all watching the game, like, we haven't seen that stretch play yet. And then every time it happened in the second half, we're saying stretch, because they just kept doing it and doing it and doing it, and it felt hopeless because you couldn't stop it.
And again, you don't need to be deep into the X's and O's to know that play because you could just see them running a similar play. You'd be like, that looks the same. And I'm imagining, stop it. Somebody tackle him.
Somebody do something.
And you can't. And that's the beauty of execution. That's the beauty of confidence in your game plan because you do it over and over again. You know what you're doing, and then you go out and execute it.
My guy Carlton on the Firehouse Subs text line says, what happened to sliding the defensive front on the outside zone plays?
Yeah, I think that's a question that Clayton has to have answered because this is the second year in a row that play with this coaching staff has dominated them. So whether there might be some numbers game that Eli has figured out against Clayton, I don't know what that is, but this is 2 years in a row where because last year
Nate Noel ran for like $150.
So it wasn't great last year, just for to bring that back, and so I don't know what that is, but that is an observation. At some point you gotta be like, somebody do something,
somebody make a play, somebody make a tackle. Like the tackling effort wasn't really good. We'll go more into maybe the numbers behind the missed tackle efforts tomorrow when we do old man versus analytics because it's not going to be very pretty. Offensive side of the ball, too, like you mentioned, we threw for 300-plus yards. Throwing for 302 is a pretty solid game. Completing 64% of the passes is pretty good. It just didn't feel like that because you couldn't run the ball. There was not a lot of complementary football going on, and if you can't get both of them going at the same time, one has to be spectacular. And there's just a real duality to this offense, and I think that's what's hurting you, too. A lack of consistency and a lot of maybe feast or famine type stuff. You had all those penalties. Out of the 14 penalties, a majority of them were false starts, and that sets you back behind the chains. But you were explosive on offense. Okay, that's good. But you still couldn't run the ball. Okay, that's bad. Your average third down distance is 12.5 yards. So even if you are picking up a ton of yards per attempt in your passing game, you are banking on hitting explosives every single third down. Because if your average third down distance to go is 3rd and 12, the only way you can convert that is an explosive play. Yes, you hit 8 explosive pass plays, but that's just not a good formula to having to win football games moving forward. That is incredibly hard. They were only 3 for 11 on 3rd down on Saturday night, and those 3 had to be fought for, and you needed explosive plays to get them.
Yeah, and when you talk about the penalties, it's very clear that out of the 9 offensive penalties, 7 of them false starts, and the other one was an ineligible receiver downfield. That is practice. That is execution. That is discipline. Sometimes you're going to hold somebody and get called for it during the course of a play. That happens. It might be through extra effort, or you're trying to get an extra block and you hold them, or whatever the case is. That can happen. So those 2 holding the penalties, we don't want them. We can excuse them.
Yes, you can live with effort penalties.
But
yes.
7 penalties on things that have nothing to do with effort, nothing to do with playing a game. It's just a matter of knowing the snap count or knowing the rules and not getting downfield. That's inexcusable.
Going back to some of the missed tackles from earlier, this is cut 10, Jen. Shane Beamer was asked about the missed tackle issue. Here's how he addressed it on Saturday night.
Yeah, just really, really, really disappointing. I mean, we've said it all week. You got to get 11 hats to the ball on this guy and tackle him and to, give them credit. I mean, when you run for 285, you run for 285, but a lot of those are because of, missed tackles or losing leverage or whatever it might be. So all 11, all 11 got to get there.
All 11 got to get there. And you know what? The thing about Missouri is maybe not the best press conference setup from what I've been told, from what Shane has said in press conferences at Missouri. And there's something about talking about all those missed tackles, all the opposing teams playing their fight song just right behind you.
Yeah, that's tough. It's a tough scene right there because it's like, yeah, they did it, and they are playing this song that played continuously as it happened.
Not ideal. Not ideal at all. But defensively, it's now 2 games in a row.
That's
against SEC competition.
That's what you want to start thinking about. When does a thing become a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a coincidence one time? Is 2 times a trend? Is this year actually who you are? Because they tackled well against Virginia Tech, South Carolina State,
which you should.
And now the 2 SEC teams, they have not tackled well. Okay, I'll give you that. Vanderbilt had a whoop-de-doo offense. That was kind of tricky. Ahmad Hardy is a possible Heisman contender. Okay. But now what?
Now you got to prove it on Saturday because Kentucky doesn't have the same run game that Missouri and Vandy have. LSU has a solid run game. Caden Durham's a good running back, so it'll be better, but I don't think Caden Durham's any better than Ahmad Hardy. Oklahoma and Alabama don't have the same running attacks, which is wild to say in the year of our Lord 2025 that they don't have the same running attack as Missouri. You can go on down the line if you just look at the schedule. Texas A&M's going to run the ball, and you're going to try to do it through your face when you play them. Ole Miss will try to run the ball through your face whenever you play them. So it's still not going to be easy, but in terms of just the best running back you're going to see this year, you at least saw him on Saturday. It's still going to be tough moving forward, but that is something that cannot be a thing. Out of all the things that can be a thing, that is something that cannot be a thing. Coming up next is the early game morning meeting where we're going to give credit where credit is due, and Will join us on the phone lines. All that and more on a Reaction Monday right here on the early game.
That was fun.
And we talked a lot about the consistency issues with Gamecock football, but one company you do not have to worry about consistency issues with is Midstate Roofing, because they have a track record of over 30 years of being a proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And here's one of the best parts about them too, is that it doesn't matter if it's high-rise or hospitals or if the job is manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing tailors whatever the needs are to your specific facility, right? It just doesn't matter what it is. You're still going to get the proper advice, service, and the results, again, to the specific needs of your facility. They've been doing it for a long time, keeping your operation dry and running long into the future. And they also allow extra protection with a maintenance contract to protect that roof. So call them today, 803-356-1919, and you can always hit them up online at midstateroofing.com. But remember, if you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Old Charleston Road at Edmond Highway, report of an accident there. Also, Sunset Boulevard at Pine Lake Drive, there is an accident as well, so be careful, please. 87 for the high today, 90 tomorrow, 92 on Wednesday. Staying in the low 90s for Thursday, when maybe a chance for an afternoon or an evening storm could be popping up. Scattered storms on Friday, dropping to a chilly 85. It's the first day of fall. It's 64 currently at 107.5 The Game.
As we always do here in the second hour of the show, it's the early game morning meeting. Today, we will give credit where credit is due and invite you to join along with us and participate and share your thoughts. We have to share things in meetings, so we'll be sharing your thoughts and feelings for today's morning meeting.
Good morning. Good morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day.
Better be.
Let's go. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
Better be.
Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
And before we give credit where credit is due, that's what we do around here, we will invite you to share along with us, as we will all show long, 803-404-6100, AAA Heating and Air phone lines, and we will start off with Will. Good morning, Will. Welcome to the early game morning meeting.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm just going to kind of say this and see what y'all think about it. It's been exhausting this year watching this team play as a fan. I feel like that the offensive line coaches, I feel like they really don't know what they're doing. I feel like Sean Elliott should possibly be the offensive line coach just to give it a shot. I feel like we had success when he was. When it's inside the 5-yard line and you choose to run a play action pass and you lose like 20-something yards, and not run it up the middle, I just think that's horrible play calling right there when we did that. And honestly, all the hype around Rasul Fazion, during the offseason to get him free and everything where he can play, I'm glad he can play. But, I don't really feel like he's made that big of a difference at all this year to this team like we thought. I feel like Oscar Attaway is a bigger running back. And, if you're going to run a running back right up the middle into a teeth of defenders, you need to use somebody that can at least push through and get a couple of yards when you need it. And I feel like Oscar Attaway is definitely a better running back through what I've seen this year. I still think the offensive play calling is atrocious. I still think Mike Shula needs to go. I kind of feel like in the direction we're going, a lot of the fans are going to start wondering whether or not Beamer can keep this thing on track. Because, we thought we were going to be a playoff team. That's not really going to happen this year, more than likely. I saw after the game where Beamer had to go get Dylan Stewart to come do the alma mater with the team, and I'm just wondering, what the emotions are in that locker room right now, and what a recruit's seeing about this team. And it's just like we just can't get it together. All those penalties, man. I've never seen a game as a fan where we have that many penalties for that much yards, and then you get negative rushing yards. Like,
that's negative rushing yards like that is only something I've heard of in a college football game, you know, when somebody's playing a 5-year-old or something. I mean, that's insane. I definitely think some wholesale changes need to be made, and if, you know, Beamer can't do it, then, you know, we need to find somebody that can. I mean, because us as fans, we definitely deserve something better than mediocre and better than what we got. So, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your call, Will. I mean, I think that sums up a lot of frustrations that fans have right now.
Brought a lot of them to the table. I just want to remind everybody about the offensive org chart. It goes coordinator, run game coordinator, Sean Elliott. Offensive coordinator is Mike Shula. The run game coordinator is Sean Elliott. So when we talk about the run game not being specific, according to the title, that is the person that we have to go to answer these questions. Downstream from that is the offensive line coach who is responsible for executing those things. If you want to say wholesale changes need to be made, I think -9 yards is good enough evidence to support that claim. But just make sure that everybody who's involved here understands that it is a failure on the whole offensive staff, which starts with Mike Shula, the offensive coordinator, goes to Sean Elliott, the run game coordinator, then to the offensive line coaches, and that's sort of how the org chart works.
Yeah, and really, I guess, maybe off the hook a little bit because the brunt of a lot of Gamecock fandom does go to Lonnie Teasley. And I was fairly, yes, because there has not been much development, right? Not what you need to see in development in terms of this team winning games. Sean Elliott bears a lot of that weight too, especially when it comes down to just the run game. -9 yards reflects on the entire coaching staff.
And to keep it real, he's responsible for one position, which is the tight end, and that position has not produced. And it played absolutely atrocious on Saturday.
Tight ends in the blocking game were not good on Saturday.
It's just the numbers.
That's where we're at. And before we get to Ray, we'll go ahead and at least get credit where credit is due.
That's what we always want to do. Hopefully we don't have to do this too often after losses, but this is what we have to do because we believe in sportsmanship.
Yes.
And we believe in recognizing when a team does something well.
Missouri, good football team. Ahmad Hardy, again, I mentioned this in the first hour. If he is not being talked about in terms of being maybe one of the 5 players to start looking at to win the Heisman, we're doing the Heisman thing wrong. He is one of the best players in America. And he did it again. I mean, the first SEC game this year, there was a lot of talk of, okay, well, yeah, he ran over, Louisiana, a Sun Belt team. He ran over Kansas, maybe not a defense that will be confused with the 2002 Buccaneers or whoever. But he did it against South Carolina. 22 carries, 138 yards, a touchdown, averaging 6 yards a carry. And then if we just look at what he has done so far this season, through only 4 games of play, mind you, he is leading the nation at 600 yards. And he is now at the point where he has rushed for over 400 yards after contact. So on pace to go well over 1,000. Maybe not Ashton Genty numbers from last year, but still, I mean, a guy who is carrying this offense right now, 6 touchdowns through 4 games too. He is on a pace right now that is torrid.
And where'd he come from?
Louisiana Monroe.
This is where you think about the transfer portal being a positive thing for athletes because he would have been toiling at Louisiana Monroe for a career, probably running for 1 billion yards down there, and people would have been like, I don't know about him. He's not very good. Can he get it done here? He has the ability to prove himself at higher levels, and he's absolutely has played himself into consideration for a career at the next level. So that is the plus side of the transfer portal.
And his numbers are even better than they were at Louisiana Monroe. He ran for 1,351 in terms of yardage last year, 5.7 yards per attempt, 13 touchdowns, 112 yards a game. Right now, he is at 7.6 yards per carry, already at 6 touchdowns, not halfway through the year, so on pace to break that, 150 yards a game.
Also goes to show you there's dudes at every level. There might not be a team full of them, but on those lower levels, there are dudes that can play at any level.
And for some reason get misidentified. That's a win for Eli Drinkwitz and that staff to identify him and say, oh, that guy did that as a true freshman? Imagine what he'll do in our outside zone scheme.
It's worth mentioning. I have to say it. It's worth mentioning.
I know you don't want to do this. I'm looking at you right now.
I don't want to do
There's so much remorse in your eyes for what you're about to do.
It's worth mentioning that that's a absolute win in the transfer portal. Our transfer portals have not been wins this year. I think that's pretty clear. We keep talking about the offensive line. 0 for 3 as far as those guys making a significant impact on the offensive line this year.
Yeah, and that's something that has to be some real reflection going to be required on that one. We'll continue taking your calls, and Professor P will tell us about tackling technique and what he did and did not see on Saturday against Missouri. That's next on the early game.
Downtown Columbia have a report of an accident, Gervais Street near Hugie. Also, still working an earlier slowdown, Old Charleston Highway, Edmond Highway, and Sunset Boulevard near Pine Lake Drive. Also, an accident reported there. 87 will be our high today, 90 tomorrow. We stay in the low 90s through Thursday when we could potentially see an afternoon or evening thunderstorm. And on Friday, some scattered thunderstorms. The high of 85, currently 64 on the early game.
We're getting your reaction here on a Reaction Monday, but we're also giving you a chance to win a cash prize. Because coming up here in this hour, I can't say when, but it's coming up, so you got to pay attention.
Very
During the
soon.
breaks here, very soon, there will be a keyword to text. Now, you might miss it in the instruction of the cue to text because you get so excited and you want to know what that word is, so you don't think about the number. But the number you text it to is 95819. 95819 be the number to text, because we did get one of those. Somebody did text the keyword into the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100. Will not work. But I applaud the effort. You're quick on it. You are really quick on it. But it's the wrong number. So, again.
Maybe just put it in your phone as like 1075 contest. And that
Cash
can be,
line or something like that. Something cool. Give it a cool name.
because we'll be doing this for a little bit yet.
Yeah. Give it a cool name that you can remember it by. And that number, again, 95819. Just want to prepare you as much as possible. Back to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Again, different numbers for cash line and the phone line. We will get to Ray, who has been patiently waiting. Ray, who was on a heater last week. Can you continue your streak, Ray?
I tell you, the way these Gamecocks are going, man, I'm afraid I might not be here next week. I tell you, no, I'm kidding. But Lord, I tell you, golly, remember the commercial with Frank Mara, and it might have been where he was coaching the Colts or whatever, and a reporter kind of sarcastically asked him about the playoffs. He said, "Playoffs," like it wasn't going to happen. But golly, well, Preston, you played for two legendary coaches, McKissick in high school and Holtz in college. I mean, Elijah, his high school coach at the time was the all-time winners high school coach ever. I mean, he coached for decades. Great coach. I can't imagine, Preston, if they'd have looked at this film, what they would have said, because I guarantee you both coaches coach differently, but at the end of the day, it was about fundamentals. And I'll just say this. All the years I've been watching Carolina football and going to the games since I was a kid, I believe when you talk about blocking and tackling in one game, it may be the worst tackling I've ever seen and maybe the worst blocking I've ever seen in one game. And the only reason that game wasn't a 35-point beatdown is because of number 16. But I don't know what they're going to do over there. I just think we're at the point of the year where you are what you are. And I said before, I'm tired of blaming position coaches. I'm tired of blaming coordinators. They go straight to the head coach. And right now we're not a very good team at all. And also, to change the subject a little bit, because I don't want to totally throw us down the you-know-what, even though we can all day long. Man, we still don't know what targeting is, do we?
No. We were 0 for 2 on the watch party. If you go back and watch the watch party, there were two different instances of targeting, and we whiffed on both.
But what happened when their guy lowered his head and hit our guy I mean, even the dude named Austin, whatever his name is, he said that's textbook. That's textbook targeting there. And then when they said it was, the other guy said, well, you know, there's like a 6-inch radius with the top of the helmet, the crown of the helmet, the crown. And I'm like, oh, give me a break. But anyway, just I don't know what to say about our Gamecocks. You know, I'll still be there, but I'll tell you. Man, we're going from where we thought we had a chance. I understand we were a playoff, but a chance because we did last year, you know. To I think we're going to be lucky to get 6 wins to get a bowl game. And, I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't know what the Vegas odds are that this coaching staff in its entirety right now will not make it to the end of the year. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're not great, but there are some odds I think they would say it probably won't happen. But anyway, we'll see what happens, but I just think from a blocking and a tackling point of view, that was the absolute worst game I've ever seen in my life. And it's the second game in a row we just weren't prepared to play. Whether it was mentally, schematically, or whatever, we were just not ready to play that game. I'll let somebody else get on, but wow, I'll call back during the week. But have a good day, guys.
Yeah, appreciate you, Ray. I mean, what Ray hit on there too were the failures in preparation, blocking, and tackling. Again, you missed 16 tackles on Saturday. So tackling, no check mark, a little X right there. Blocking, you ran for -9 yards, and only on sack adjusted yards per carry, 2.2. That's an X on blocking there too. And if you need an example, it's not just the offensive line. This was a team bad blocking effort because you go back to that sack on 1st and goal. Rasul Faison completely whiffs on a block where you have to pick up that linebacker coming through the hole. And he got to Lenora Sellers pretty quickly without much resistance.
Yeah, and that's the part about it, not much resistance, because even if he just puts himself in the way and just sort of becomes like a speed bump. Speed bump, that might have given him more time, but he did less than that. And, it was just a very futile effort. I don't know if that's something that may be a clue into why maybe he hasn't ascended to being RB1. Maybe that's a part of his game that we haven't been paying attention to. I don't know. Maybe he just failed on that one play, but it was a huge play that the emphasis on that play has to be over and over again. When we run this play, Rasul, you have to make this block. And I want to make sure we understand this when we talk about coordinators, run game coordinator, offensive coordinator. They're not just responsible for calling plays. They're responsible for coordinating the offense. That involves execution. That involves blocking. That involves all of those things.
Assignments.
You don't just because, to be honest, a lot of you all that are listening, if you play college football 26, you can call plays. You recognize defenses. You can get on Madden and call plays. Everybody's a play caller, but there's way more to coordinating an offense than just calling plays, and that starts throughout the week. That starts with execution, and obviously that's not getting done.
And then, of course, that's aside from the penalties that you had to. Again,
and that's all part of it.
14, and a lot of that's fundamentals. False starts. It's fundamentals, right? It's looking for cues. It's looking for when to be able to finally start moving, right? Like that's the basic thing. That's about as operational as it gets. And you still were called for way too many false starts. And if it's because of the crowd, well, I've got really bad news for you. You have to go to LSU.
Now, Missouri was, one of the things, it popped. Missouri was popping on the screen. It looked like it was rocking in there. But from earlier in the year, we heard them say that we're having communication issues.
At home.
And yes. And that does not seem like it's been fixed yet.
No. And that's a pretty big issue moving forward. We have a lot more of your calls. We'll take those on the other side as we continue your reaction here on a Reaction Monday here on the Early Game. Well, it is Reaction Monday, and I'll tell you what my reaction is whenever I step on my carpet and it feels gummy or matted down. Just kidding. I can't tell you what my reaction would be because it's not FCC appropriate, and I would get myself in trouble. But getting me out of trouble would be my friends over at Zero Res, because Zero Res's patented cleaning process uses no harsh chemicals. It's a clean that's safe for me, my family, my pets. Everybody wants that, including me, so they can take care of what you might consider a mystery stain on your carpet. And remember, this month with Zero Res, the more you clean, the more you save. You get 3 rooms for $119, 4 rooms for $144, and 5 for just $169. You can save up to $30 and schedule with Zero Res today. Well, Elijah, how do I schedule with Zero Res? Easy enough. Just schedule online at ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. Just know it's the right way to clean. Reaction Monday continues, giving our thoughts and our breakdown of Missouri's 29-20 win over South Carolina, a game that Carolina actually led going into the fourth quarter, 20-18.
Again, the folks from Missouri are painting it as a comeback victory.
I don't think I would paint it the same way. I am no Picasso, I am no painter, but I would not paint it that way.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's that.
That's the narrative that I saw being spun.
Like, technically, yes.
You're down by 2.
Yes. I guess maybe technically a comeback, but spiritually, maybe not so much. AAA Heating Air phone lines, 803-404-6200. Drew has been waiting patiently. Drew, appreciate your patience. Welcome to the early game.
Thanks, guys. Bear with me. Get a pen, Preston. Guys, I got a lot of questions. Need a lot of answers. I'm going to state the obvious first. Every year we out-recruit Missouri and Vanderbilt, supposedly on paper, but obviously you wouldn't know it from the 2 results. I watch O-lines in the SEC, and they're constantly going downhill, moving the pile forward. I watch our O-line, and 3 things happen. We either whiff, or we're in the backfield as our guys getting pile drive and just standing around having a tea party, staring at each other, or we're laying on the ground. To me, our footwork is atrocious. We're so slow off the ball that I think I could probably blow them up.
Got any eligibility left?
Oh, yeah. I'm 6'2", a lean, sexy 315.
Oh, biggin.
Qualifies.
He qualifies. Drew qualifies. Drew's a biggin.
But I have terrible footwork. But Preston hit on something last. I love – well, move back up. Never had a problem with the coaches, but maybe I'm just going to connect the dots. Either our guys we're bringing in are highly, highly overrated and not as good as the so-called experts think, but I think they do a pretty good job doing their homework. So there's always a few misses. But, I heard about how this O-line, all these 4-star, 5-star guys we're bringing in. For example, where the hell has happened to Marquis Anderson? And who in the hell was that Pop Warner center? I think his name was Hill, that got the start at center. And the first play of the game, it went for, I think, 8 or 9 yards, maybe even the first down, but Faison had to make, the entire Missouri team miss to even get those 8, 9 yards. But I'll end this with, I guess, some news. The bad news is I'm going to Ole Miss and LSU. That's the bad news. Good news is, like every year, thank God for Don Staley and the Lady G's. We got basketball. It can't get here fast enough. But I don't know, guys. I've been going to games. I was 3 years old. I've been in the Gamecock Club since I was 21. I'm 52. So what is that now? 32 years consecutive. I'm just lost for words. But something's wrong, Preston. Put on your hat, guys and gals, and tell me, because this last thing, I just don't understand how we're so slow off the O-line. I mean, I watch other O-lines, and they're always downhill, always, blocking downhill, motor grader. And our O-line, it's like they're stuck in doo-doo. I'll get y'all's answers, thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your call, Drew. And, I mean, if he has eligibility, he's got the size to be a big one. Just got to work on the footwork, though. But, I mean, the footwork thing is one I want to address here, Preston, because I think that does get to the heart of maybe what the problems are on the offensive line. Is it just a matter of making sure your feet are moving at the right pace and in the right spaces?
You remember what we did with offensive line play, right? Remember the sounds we make? Bad offensive line play sounds like this. Slow.
Elephant steps.
Good offensive line play sounds like this. And if you watch the offensive line from Missouri, even while they were running that stretch zone, their feet are moving very quickly. They're using their hips to get angles. They're using their bodies to shield, because they're not the most physical line, but they know how to use their bodies on the plays that they run to execute them. And I think that's an appropriate assessment. When you watch our offensive line, it doesn't feel as if we have the pop or the firing off of the ball in order to move people. We might make holes every now and then, but very rarely do you see us moving people from one place to another. And that's what offensive linemen are about. You're supposed to take a person and move them against their will when they don't want to be moved, and we don't do that very often.
And that's one thing that Missouri did really well. Not just that, but taking the defender where the defender wants to go, right? Yeah. Because there are options on those plays to where if you run straight up outside, like on the edge, they will move you that way. Say, okay, we'll move you that way, and they'll clear a hole for Ahmad Hardy or Jamal Roberts or Bo Perbula on a scramble to go somewhere else. They manipulated you, and that's what they do really well. I think fans would like to see South Carolina's offensive linemen be able to do that sort of thing and be able to create something of an offensive identity. More of your calls, Thorns, Buds, and Roses, and so much more in hour number 3.
Sunset Boulevard at Pine Lake Drive, still working that earlier tie-up. Parkland Road at O'Neill Court, an accident. Also, you'll find one I-20 westbound at Fairfield Road. And in downtown Columbia, Gervais Street near Hugie, an accident also. 87 for the high today. Then we dip into the low 90s. By Thursday, we're looking for maybe some afternoon or evening thunderstorms. Friday could see some scattered thunderstorms overall and a high of 85. 64 currently on 107.5 The Game.
Hour number 3 of the Reaction Monday early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorns. She's Jen Jensen. And we have come to the realization while watching SportsCenter, again, there's nothing newsworthy or noteworthy of my poor New Orleans Saints. They're bad. And my pal Lou Bajak reminded me on Twitter yesterday that, the Saints are already on the clock for the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. No, something I didn't expect. But we're watching SportsCenter's top 10 plays as they do play at the end of every hour. And I'm watching the Seahawks run a punt back for a touchdown. And it turned out to be the most indicative play or some microcosm of the Gamecock weekend.
Yes.
Because on that play, the punter for the Saints runs the 50-yard line and gets absolutely drilled, decleated. And I remember saying, oh, our poor punter. He got absolutely mauled on this play. Watch this, and the play happens, and Preston and I are like, oh. And then they show it again. I'm like, okay, why are we showing this again? At this point, this has become cruel, right? It's no longer funny anymore. Now it's becoming inhumane. And then I watched the punt again. I'm like, oh, lefty. And then it came back to me. Wait a minute. Kai Kroger's our punter. It was Kai Kroger that got blown up on that play.
Yeah.
I feel like Marlon Brando in The Godfather. It was like, look how they massacred my boy. It was terrible.
Man. I could just imagine that defender just eyes lighting up, mouth watering when you see the punter in your scope. Like, I'm about to get him.
Because he sized him up.
He got him.
He leveled him, and he stopped what he was doing. After leveling him, looks over and see that the return man is gone, and just puts 2 arms up like this.
Tough day for the New Orleans Gamecocks.
Yeah, it was a bad day for the New Orleans Gamecocks. And Saturday was a bad day for the South Carolina Gamecocks, most importantly.
Also, while we're here, rising up, it's not been going great for your boy. But
I'm sorry, I'm just bursting because, I don't get the opportunity to come in and be.
You don't.
Fired. I don't. I don't have. And boy, that was a great game. Bears were on it last night. Three interceptions and.
Caleb Williams looked great.
Williams looked really good. The defense actually didn't look too bad. So it was they were pretty fired up. So, we were 0-2. Now we're not.
The flea flicker was really cool. As Preston referred to him as Big Brain Ben.
Ben is wacky, man. He'll call some interesting plays.
That's why I've been hopeful for the season.
Yeah, I mean, that was what it was supposed to look like.
Yes.
It's a positive sign right there.
So
Sorry,
anyway,
Rick Henry.
So I feel bad and I did feel bad because, then that meant that I took down the fighting Rick Henrys.
Yeah,
so
right.
I did feel bad, but not bad enough.
No.
So anyway, but I was empathetic for, what happened with the Saints and with the Braves. Or the Falcons, sorry. It's kind of interchangeable.
Well, the Braves scored more than the Falcons yesterday.
It's about the same.
Good point, yeah.
Atlanta sports struggling right now.
Yeah,
Atlanta sports in a really bad spot.
Oh, man. No kidding. So anyway, thank you for letting me have a moment.
Yes,
I don't get them a lot.
The Jen Jensen victory lap. So much deserved. And now back to the phones where we don't get to take a victory lap. 803-404-6100. That's our AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Tim has been waiting patiently. Tim, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning. How y'all doing? I got 2 or 3 things. I ain't talked a long time, so bear with me. I've said before, I'm a Tennessee fan and a Gamecock fan. I married a Gamecock. My wife's 88. We've been married since then. I've been watching football with the Gamecock since then. Okay. The first thing I want to say is we have the same conversation every year about offensive line. These guys, people talk about the game clock, they're slow and all this stuff. At some point, these guys can play football. I mean, they didn't get to college being scrubs. You know what I'm saying? They know how to play football. So it's coaching and fundamentals and all that, in my opinion. And the tackling thing, everybody's talking about tackling. I am an old man, and I played linebacker a long, long time. And about the only thing we had to worry about back then was don't face mess, don't close line, don't anything else you can do. Now these guys have got a whole lot to worry about, but that ain't no excuse. My thing is, Preston knows this. Tackling practice is hard, it's dirty, it causes fights, you get people hurt, You know, they don't know about practicing anymore. It ain't just the Gamecocks. Anybody that watches football for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, tackling has been awful. I mean, awful. I'm a ball fan, like I said. I mean, and they're winning. They look pretty good, but tackling is terrible. You understand what I'm saying? If once somebody gets past the linebackers, oh my gosh, it's hit and miss when they get on the ground or not. That's just the truth. It don't matter what team you're watching. But to me, it's just plain old coaching stuff. And I love Shane Beamer. I'm not putting it down. I love the raw stuff. I think he's a great talker and all this, that, and other. But at some point, we're having the same conversation every year about the offensive line, the running game. I mean, Lawrence Sellers, I think the reason they don't let him just turn him loose is he's about all they got. They're ready to go get him hurt. That's the only thing I can figure out about him not running the ball. Yeah. Or like he did. That's it. But I'll shut up. Y'all have a good day. I'll call you again.
Yeah. Appreciate your call, Tim. Yeah, well, the tackling thing is it maybe got buried a little bit when we were initially watching. Then you see the missed tackle numbers, and then it kind of sticks out a little more. But then, I mean, if you just go back and watch the second half, a lot of the plays, yes, you had a hard time getting through on the stretch zone plays, but there were times where maybe you had a chance to get them in the backfield and you didn't take the opportunity, or maybe it was a play that was just going to get 1 or 2 yards, but a broken tackle turned it into 9 or 10, and then bam, explosive plays. Missouri had 11 explosive plays on the ground alone. That is a big difference maker in this game.
Yeah, and Tim hit at an issue that maybe we can talk about later in the week, but it is a systemic issue as far as tackling is concerned, because in order to tackle, you have to practice tackling. And most programs have gone away from practicing tackling because there's a chance for injury to happen. And so it's almost impossible to simulate tackling. You can go through drills, and in those drills, you're going maybe half speed or third speed or whatever the case is. But that's not what Ahmad Hardy's doing.
No.
And he's not saying like, oh, you got me. Let me just, oh, your arms are around me. Okay, cool. No. And so the strain in tackling is like when you go to wrap your arms, you have to grab cloth, hold on, drag them down, whatever the case is. And it's very difficult to practice that with the time constraints, with the injury constraints, and just in the new brand of football. So I think Tim is really hitting at something, which is a larger issue overall. But he also said that everybody else is dealing with this too, and they're not missing that many tackles, so you have to get that corrected.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him this, certainly. It's harder to tackle and play football now than it ever has been because of the change of the rules. Again, I'm giving up on knowing what targeting is and is not. So I know if I am having to mentally punt on knowing what that is, I'm sure there are coaches who have pulled their hair out trying to figure this out and to figure out the proper way to be able to teach this. And that's why I can't get into coaching. I love my hair too much, and I want to keep it as long as possible. But it's still, again, it's a great point by Tim. Everybody deals with the same rules, the same changes.
We're all here.
And unfortunately for Carolina, they handled it pretty well the first 2 games. They had, 4 missed tackles, I guess, in the first 2 games combined? Mm-hmm. And now you get into SEC play, and you've missed, 14 and 16?
Yeah.
30 in 2 games? Which would be a not-so-healthy average of 15 a game in the SEC. It's not a good sign. It is not a good sign. We will go back to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines where AG is on the line.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hey, what's up, guys? I just want to put in my 2 cents worth, man. Like my man Tim was just saying, coaching, I mean, it's one play that aggravated my bones the other night. The guy was offsides for like 5 minutes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
We got you.
The guy was offsides for like 5 minutes, clearly standing up in front of the line of scrimmage. My wife saw it. I saw it. And it was right in front of the whole USC coaching staff and the bench. And nobody, not the players or anybody, said, hey, man, get back. It was a DB, I think it was. Do y'all know what play I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
At the end of the game.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's coaching. We need a coach. I keep telling y'all. I told you a couple years ago, we need a coach that these players are deaf scared of out there. Beamer's a nice guy, but Beamer is Shador Sanders. He's living off of the last name. He's a good rah-rah guy, fake tough guy. But if you had a coach that players are deaf scared to make a mistake, I guarantee we had more penalties than first downs the other night. Am I right about that?
Ooh. See, 14 penalties.
Ooh.
15 first downs.
Cool.
So you won the first down to penalty battle by 1.
I lost another bet. God damn. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's ridiculous. So and my man at quarterback, he's getting a reputation for getting hurt all the time. I mean, that ain't good. He had a play where he could have ran for about 15 yards. The guy, I mean, the field's wide open. He's just trying to show the people he can pass for the next level and all this crap. Just play football.
Yeah.
You all right about that?
Yeah, I appreciate the call, AG, and when it comes to Lenoris too, I mean, the passing game was pretty good, and if you have to be able to adjust and do something else because the running game's not there, because the running game certainly was not there, I think that became evident pretty quickly. Throwing it through the air and finding a way to move the ball that way was the right way to go. I mean, throwing for 302 is what the team needed to be competitive in this game. It's just unfortunate that you needed more. And there was the turning point to me in this game was making that play where you get the ball down to the 2-yard line after an incredible offensive play, and then you take a sack. And it was a team effort on that sack. I think that was really the one that maybe hurt you the most. We will go ahead and get to Rod from Greenville.
I think he's making good on his call we said he had to get him call from Monday.
He did. We did. He did. And here he is to make the call. So, Rod, welcome back to the early game.
Calling. Hey, I appreciate y'all. Good morning. Good morning. Y'all know I was calling. You know I was calling.
He did.
But listen, check this out. So I'm self-employed, right? So follow me, okay? We had a situation on my business Friday where there was a complaint, okay? They didn't call my wife, who helps with me. They didn't call my older kids that helps me. They called me about the issue. And I've been saying it from day one. We love to call out, no disrespect to y'all, we love to call out the low-hanging fruit. But, man, that thing starts from the top. Our team is not disciplined. Our team is soft. Our team can't even where's the tackling at, guys? Then on the 2-yard line, I'm going to say this, on the 2-yard line, Beamer has the headset on. He could have overruled that play that was called and just run the ball. I'm so sick of it, man. And watch this, though. Go back to what I said about the team being soft and tight. This head coach a couple of months ago crying about some daggone cookies. Cookies, man. Cookies. This team looks like the head coach. We got issues, and it starts at the top. Some people didn't come looking for my family members that helping me with this business. They come looking for me. At some point, and I heard a couple, because I waited a while just to see how the calls was going to go today. Y'all maybe had about maybe 2 or 3 that pointed back at the top, but it's at the top where all this blame need to be pointed at, because he hired these guys. The identity of this team points back at him. So, all right, I got it out. I'm doing it. I called in.
Yeah, that's what today's for. We were expecting you, Rod.
One more thing. I just caught y'all on YouTube doing that show where y'all breaking down the game. Man, that's awesome, man. I like that.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
On you. That's real cool. I didn't know you guys was doing it. It was real cool. I liked it.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you, Rod. That was the first time doing it. We had a lot of folks tuning in. It was cool getting a chance to watch the game. Thank you, man.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, it was a blast. We'll definitely be doing it again, especially for road games when we're not there. So that was a blast.
I think we should do it on the bye weeks too. Just
watch games.
For a reason to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know,
just for a reason to hang out. We'll pick a game to watch along, or I'll sign into my YouTube TV and we can quad box it.
There you go.
Fun.
We can get real crazy with it. Yeah, that was a ton of fun. So thank you for the call, Rod. And if you missed out and you just want to go see highlights, see what our raw reaction was, you can definitely go back. It's still up on our YouTube page. But we need more reaction from Preston. We need for him to be able to give out his thorns, buds, and roses. We will do that next here in the early game. We want to talk about a model of consistency. That would be my friends over at Mid-State Roofing. It doesn't matter if it's high-rise hospitals, manufacturing to industrial. Mid-State Roofing for nearly 30 years has been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry and protecting your most valued asset, your home or your business, keeping that operation dry and running because of their proper advice, service, and most importantly, the results. Football's not the only results-based business we have around here. Roofing and waterproofing is definitely one of those two, and Mid-State Roofing gives you those results. And of course, they have a lot of great versatility because you can call it 803-356-1919 after hours for more urgent needs, because we know sometimes the needs of your building or your roof don't wait around for business hours. But Mid-State Roofing has you covered. You can speak to an on-call technician after hours, 803-356-1919, or online at midstateroofing.com.
Still taking care of things. Sunset Boulevard near Pine Lake Drive. Also, some accidents. Parkland Road at O'Neill Court. I-77 southbound at Percival Road. I-20 westbound at Fairfield Road and Gervais Street near Hugie. We also have a report of a slowdown in downtown Columbia. 87 will be our high today, the first day of fall. Overnight, 68. Tomorrow, 90. 92 on Wednesday. 91 on Thursday. Wednesday morning, we could start the morning at about 70 degrees. Kind of crazy right there. Might see some scattered thunderstorms on Thursday and Friday. Right now, 64 in the early game.
All right, time to look at the game through another lens, through Coach P's lens, through that and other stuff from the world of college football. Because right now, as we do every Monday at this time, it's Thorns, Buds, and Roses.
It's time for Thorns, Buds, and Roses with Preston Thorn on the early game. 107.5 The Game.
All right, y'all. I'm not going to overthink this thing. I'm not going to try and pull out a trick play on the 2-yard line when I could just run the ball. So I'm just going to run the ball on these Thorns. 14 penalties, man.
That's a lot of Thorns.
Those are problems. And it's not that you just had 14 penalties. It's the amount of penalties that came in the pre-snap part of the game. False starts, lining up offsides, man downfield. Those are unacceptable, especially when you're, let's face it, an average to mediocre team. You have no room to do those things and still expect to win games. And despite that, you still had an opportunity to win.
Led going into the fourth quarter.
But when you do those things, you really don't deserve to win. You don't deserve to win when you have this many pre-snap penalties, because that is not the result of the game taking place. It's not a result of effort. We had penalties in the pre-snap, false starts, penalties during the play, holdings, and then penalties after plays with unsportsmanlike conduct. You can't do it. You will not win with that. And that's obviously going to be a thorn in anybody's side that you watch it. Buds. Unfortunately, we have something that might be budding here, and I don't like it.
Oh, no, not a good bud. Bad bud.
The defense might have been planting the missed tackle trees. And they might be growing fruits. The missed tackle tree is growing fruits. We saw it budding last week against Vandy. We looked at it. We didn't chop that weed down when we should have, and now it's growing.
It's grown sentience, too.
So, has anybody ever watched, I'm sure at some point, you've watched Andy Griffith?
Yes.
And Barney says, nip it in the bud.
Nip it in the bud.
Yep. So
we got to nip it in the bud. I'll give you two. At once is a coincidence, two's a trend, three is a thing.
Oh.
You got to get this right on Saturday. Because if not, then you're the defense who doesn't tackle well. I'll give you two.
Yep.
One's not good. Whatever. Two's a trend. It's going in the wrong direction. Three, that's who you are. We'll see.
There's a problem.
We'll see what that is. So we got to nip that in the bud. But it's not all bad news, because last week when we tried to heal our wounds from a loss, we said that Asia Wilson was winning another award. And guess what? Again, over the weekend, not for the first time, not the second time, not even 3, 4 times.
This is a trend.
This is a thing.
Yes, very much a thing.
This is a thing. 4-time MVP award winner Asia Wilson wins again, dominant in all facets of the game. I've said it over and over again. She is the best woman playing basketball in the galaxy right at this moment. And we probably have about who knows how long her prime is going to go, how long she decides that she wants to play. But she is currently in the prime, playing the best basketball of her career. And how fortunate that we got to witness this thing grow. We got to see it.
Bud.
We got to see it bud. We've seen it blossom. And she is a wonderful representation of the city, the school, the institution, anything that you would want. And we can gladly say that she is ours. So congratulations to, they used to call it MV3. Can't call that anymore.
MV4 doesn't have
the same ring.
No.
4th MVP for Asia Wilson. Congratulations, and those are our Thorns, Buds, and Roses for the weekend.
I did retweet something last night, and it was about a 5.5-minute piece of people talking from like her high school, Dawn talking, and it was a really nice, encompassing thing, celebrating her 4th MVP. So
again,
that was kind of
cool is that she's ours.
Yeah,
right? We get to claim the best basketball player on the planet is from Columbia, South Carolina,
and not just a Columbia native, a Gamecock. Stayed home, won a title, fulfilled that promise, and then goes on to the professional ranks and becomes the best player in the world.
Yep. And so we're on title watch now. If
they dropped game 1 last night,
but who they dropped game 1 to?
To Aaliyah Boston.
Isn't that something, right? So if there's something that you want to get into, maybe the Braves aren't treating you well, maybe the Falcons aren't treating you well, maybe the Gamecock football's not treating you well, you can be treated to the WNBA and watching the Aces versus the Fever and watch two of our legends going at it.
Yep. It's really, I've really been enjoying this season overall. I've been a Fever fan before even, like Aaliyah got there and whatever, but it's been a fun season to watch and to see them just continue to do really well in spite of all the injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
But I love following the Aces as well because of Asia. So it's a great 5-game series.
It is featuring the best player in the world. And
a pretty darn good one on the other side.
Yes. Thankfully, voters in that did not fall victim to the best player on best team thing because it felt like Nafisa Collier was going to win that. But they came to their senses. The most valuable player is also the best player, not just on her team, but planet Earth. So Asia Wilson, big shout out to Columbia's own, just stat padding.
Yeah,
the resume right there.
For sure.
Resume padding. She's my age, right? Which is, I mean, if you're a pro athlete, is your prime. Why not stop? Why stop at 4? Why not get 5 or 6? Do the full, LeBron James thing. Not 5, not 6.
Right.
And just keep racking up. She can definitely do it. Best player in the world right now. That's Thorns, Buds, and Roses. We will get back to your calls because it is Reaction Monday. We will revisit Missouri's 29-20 win over South Carolina and where the Gamecocks go from here because we have more questions than we have answers, and we'll try to provide some answers to those coming up next here on the early game.
Press here for our friends at Cato's Power Equipment. Cato's Power Equipment has been family-owned and serving the Midlands since 1983. That's over 40 years. And third-generation owner Ben Cato provides top-notch service, great deals, and the mom-and-pop values that you love. Ben is determined to raise the standards of sales, service, and retail. Cato's are proud to offer a wide selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. So if you're ready to invest in something new, the friendly team is there to make the process easy, help you choose the right equipment, find financing options, keep your gear running strong with expert service and parts. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a seasoned landscaping pro, Cato's has got you covered. So swing by Cato's Power Equipment today or call us at 803-254-3711. That's Cato's Power Equipment at 803-254-3711.
In the cleanup stages, Park Lane Road at O'Neill Court, also Gervais Street near Hugie. I-20 westbound after Fairfield Road, letting you know about that tie-up. I-77 southbound at Percival Road, and one more to make you aware of, Pisgah Church Road at Highway 1. And the forecast feels anything but fall-like. 87 going to be our high today. We'll be in the low 90s through Thursday, where we might see an afternoon or evening thunderstorm. 85 on Friday with some scattered thunderstorms in the forecast. 65 currently on the early game.
It's Reaction Monday here on the early game. Before we get to Jeff, who's been waiting patient on the phone lines, Marshall on the Firehouse Subs text line says, I can go off on the laundry list of things that went wrong for us this weekend like everyone else, but I'm not because there's going to be plenty. What I want to say is that fella Hardy is the best SEC running back I've seen since maybe Todd Gurley.
Ooh. And we appreciate that. Yes, there are a lot, but we always are into giving props when props are due.
Ahmad Hardy's on scholarship too.
Correct.
And that scholarship is
correct.
A good investment, and whatever investment they made to get that guy on campus is what you need to do because he is a capital D dude. Back to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Jeff is on the line. Jeff, thanks for hanging out patiently with us. Good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Thanks for having me. How are y'all today?
Doing well, thanks.
It's a very funky Monday with the football we had this weekend. I just wanted to call in. It's last week I was listening to the station, and this is not a reflection on what I think about the show in the morning because I love it. I watch it. I listen to it just about every day. What I found interesting, though, last week when they were talking about the Missouri game is that I don't recall 4 or 5 times the entire week that I heard a Gamecock football player's name mentioned except for Lenore Sellers. And obviously Lenore Sellers is who he is, and he's a wonderful player. But I think that's kind of a reflection on what's going on at South Carolina. They just do not have they just don't have the talent all the way around, and it's more than obvious when you watch the game. I was just looking at some of the stats. It was really crazy. This has got to be historic. I don't know this to be a fact, but when you've got 10 times more penalty yards against you than you do yards rushing, I've never heard of such a stat like that. But, it's kind of a negative day today. But the bottom line is we can look and try to evaluate this, that, and the other. But South Carolina just ain't got it. I thought that they may have a chance of being a pretty good football team when I watched them play Virginia Tech, and they played bad in that game, but yet won. At that time, I didn't realize just how bad Virginia Tech was, and but that's just it in a nutshell. Beamer's got to get better players in there that know what's going on, and because it's a sad time for them. Sorry for all the negative comments, but that's how I see it. Y'all have a good day, guys.
Appreciate you. Well, that's what a Reaction Monday is for, because we're gonna take our reaction. Everybody, and y'all have done excellent today. I think everybody's been fair. Everybody's been measured. Everybody's been calling like you see. You've done great. And that's what Mondays are for. We'll move on later in the week. That's what Mondays are for.
Yeah. I did the math. -9 times 10 was -90. So I don't know what number we got to get to.
Okay.
To get to 98. Well, math is not my strong suit.
Yeah, especially when you start doing minuses and pluses in there. Now we're getting into all types of number lines and all that. I will say this. I think that is a very interesting observation. There's nothing wrong with the team being centered around a superstar player. Most great teams are.
Yes.
But what we're looking to see is that where is the supporting cast coming from? And we have not seen that offensively overall. I think Vandrevius Jacobs stepped up.
I mean, 7 catches for $128 and a touchdown.
That was very encouraging to see. But we're going to need to see it consistently. And I think the caller, Jeff, was right, how it obviously has been Lenora-centric because he's one of the best players in the country. I very believe that. And there were plays that proved that because he dropped some dimes.
The 49-yard touchdown pass was right on the money. I don't know if you could not have thrown that better. That 3rd and a mile that they had where he almost converted it, where he's rolling out to his left, kind of throws off, his back foot and still delivers an absolute dart right to, I believe it was Nick Harbor near the sideline and that is an incredible throw. That is a throw that maybe Lenore's is the only player in college football who can make that throw.
Right.
And he still completes 64% of his passes for 302 yards and 2 touchdowns. The interception total is 0, but he did get away with a couple.
Yeah, he got away with 2.
He got away with 2.
But to that point, last year, when you look at the supporting cast from last year, you had Josh Simon, who's a practice squad guy, Gage Laverdine, who's an NFL guy, Rocket Sanders is a 53 roster guy. There were NFL-type dudes around Lenore's last year. I think it's yet to be determined if they're there this year.
Yeah, and then that's the big thing, too, is, again, back to the theme from earlier. It's like you're playing whack-a-mole, right? You fix one problem, another one pops up, and you got to smack that one. Then the other one pops back up, and you got to smack it. And it's just an endless loop of playing whack-a-mole with your offensive issues. The one thing I really wanted to see when we were talking about this game on Friday was can a number 2 receiver, a non-Nick Harbor receiver, stand up? And Vandrevius Jacobs said, all right, I'll take that. I'll do it. And it still wasn't enough because he didn't have the best Nick Harbor game. Now, that one play we alluded to accounted for most of Nick Harbor's receiving yards. But you had somebody else step up, and the passing game was really good. I will say, if you're looking for any type of positive thought from that game, it's that the passing game was really good, and that carried your offense. You had more passing yards than total yards, though, and that's the issue. Again, whack-a-mole with your problems. The passing game looks better than it has at any point this year in terms of consistency, in terms of seeing it in non-scripted drives. 302 passing yards should win you a lot of games, but when you get nothing on the ground, you get sacked 5 times, and you have 14 penalties, a majority of them being procedural penalties on offense that set you back behind the chains, that's how you get a 3rd down average distance to go of 12. The average 3rd down for South Carolina was 3rd and 12. At that point, 302 yards through the air won't be enough to win. 350 might be. Getting close to 400 might be because you're constantly having to rely on those big passing plays. It's great when you get them, and those explosive pass plays were the reason that you had a lead going into the 4th quarter. But when that stopped, on the 3 offensive drives this team had in the 4th quarter that went 3 and out, 4 and out, then it's not enough because you need it somewhere else too whenever the game is on the line like it was. And that was a bit that to me is the hard part. I mean, you picked up almost 17 yards of completion. The passing game finally looked good enough. But then when you take those steps forward, the running game takes multiple steps back, and now we're talking about losing a game because you didn't do enough on offense despite one element of the offense looking really good.
Which, again, in this type of game where they're running the ball, if you can keep them off the field, play defense by playing offense, you weren't able to do that. That leads to them being able to control time of possession, getting your team tired, wearing you down, finishing the game.
And here's the tough part, too. Going into that 4th quarter, so the second drive, where you get the ball with 6:03 left, you immediately go 3 and out, you pick up only 1 yard. You're in a 3rd and 9 on your own 33-yard line. You almost can't go for 4th down there, even though if you give them the ball back, they are going to be able to move the ball, and they did because they milked 3.5 minutes off the clock, ran 10 plays, picked up 57 yards, good enough to be able to attempt a field goal, and that field goal was the kill shot. I, at the time, was like, do you go for it maybe? But then that decision's almost taken out of your hands because you were so futile on 1st and 2nd down. you were bad enough on first and second down on that drive to make it to where it takes away the decision-making process and makes you really have to consider punting, even though you know what their offense is doing and you know that you might not have much time back when you do get the ball, and there's a possibility you get the ball back. When you do get the ball back, you're down multiple scores.
And to be fair, and Clayton White would never say this, and no defensive coordinator say this, but I can say this as a fan, they needed to get a stop going into that. They got a stop that they needed. They gave the ball back to the offense with the opportunity to score.
Now, it was a 3 and out. The only 3 and out they forced in the game.
They got the stop that they needed, but the offense wasn't able to capitalize on it. And so that's a difficult point. So, yes, they gave up 285 yards, a very poor performance, 16 missed tackles. They did get the stop that they needed. And oftentimes football games come down to 1 or 2 stops that you need. They got the one that they needed. The offense wasn't able to capitalize.
And that is how we end up getting the results that we got on Saturday. Those are not winning plays, but we'll give you our winners for today's show coming up next.
Preston here for Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance company to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work, it does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out to you and take care of the job for you. Now, if you're at home looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows and mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
I tell you about my friends over at the Ecton Law Firm. Look, sometimes tax issues can be weighing you down, and tax issues can be pretty serious, whether it be for yourself or business tax issues. And that's where the Ecton Law Firm comes into play to give you the peace of mind that you deserve. 803-771-9800. Go ahead, give that phone number a call today to set up a free consultation. And in that consultation, John Ecton and his team will be able to tell you how to attack these issues and be able to take care of them for good, because their proven local solutions have helped thousands of families and businesses just like yours, if you're experiencing this, escape that IRS maze that can almost feel insurmountable at times. So take that first step today. Call 803-771-9800, or you can always visit them at ectonlawfirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. We want winners. Mike Singletary wants winners. And, Coach, we got them for you. Preston Thorn, your winners for today's show.
It's not for today's show. There's a lot of losing in today's show.
There was.
But I want to give an honorary winner to the biggest of biggins, Jordan Davis, 6'6", 340 pounds. He said he's 320-ish. He's up.
My eyes will not deceive me like
blocks
that.
2 field goals. The second one he blocks, a game-winning block field goal touchdown. The thickest of all thick six. If you are a thick six fan, which we are here, that was the one. And it was really cool to see him because he's been talking about how he's been working to get himself in shape. That's been his really off-season goal. In shape for him is 340, right? And not only that, but Tyler sent me the meme or the screenshot. Dude was running 18 miles per hour.
Woo! He was scooting. He was scooting all 340 plus pounds.
340, 18 miles per hour. They didn't get him. He did say he didn't need as much oxygen this year as he would have needed last year. So, yeah, shout out to Jordan Davis. Huge play. Love to see the biggins getting some shine.
That play, big for some because the Rams were down 3. That field goal, if they made it, would have sent it to overtime. The spread on that was 3.5. The best outcome for Eagles bettors at minus 3.5 was blocking it and taking it to the house. The likelihood of that happening, slim, but it happened.
That's crazy. The NFL was on fire this weekend.
Block kicks.
A lot of cool stuff happened.
My winner for the show in the NFL, block kicks. Because you had those in the Eagles-Rams game, and the Packers were looking to take a 3-point lead over the Browns late in the game, and the Browns blocked the kick and set up their game-winning field goal right afterwards.
Let's stay right here. NFL, kicking game. The punter for the Saints, who we saw get crushed.
Oh, no.
And we was like, oh, poor punter. And then we realized it was our guy.
Oh, no.
Kai Kroger. You had a great punt, but you got blasted. But he's still on the 53, and that check's going to clear on Tuesday, sir. So congratulations.
Clear. And you know what? With an NFL paycheck, that would cure a lot of my blues. It was a good punt, though. It was a really good punt. It just Saints didn't do their job in fielding it or recovering and blocking and not blocking, but attacking it, covering ground, and poor Kai Kroger was the last line of defense.
Speaking of NFL paychecks, I know we bring my guy up all the time, but Langston Moore was playing for the Arizona Cardinals in the years 2000s, and they were still giving paper checks.
How is it his luck that – because you know what? I guarantee you he was still getting paper checks when he was playing for the Browns. And the Lions. So really all 3 of the Langston Moore stops.
Man. That's wild.
he might have played.
Did he keep one? Or at least
that's
photocopy?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I need to ask him. Yeah. Because – not to put my boy's business out there, but there were some people on the team that were getting significantly paid more. And he was saying some of the numbers you would see on those checks were ridiculous.
Astronomical.
For paper checks.
Direct deposit didn't hit some NFL franchises until a little later on. Oh, man. That's brutal. Classic Forrest Gumpian Langston Moore type experience right there. Oh, man. In terms of winners for today's show, I got to give one too. We'll give credit where it's due. Ahmad Hardy is that good. I mean, I heard on the broadcast that John Mateer was looked at as maybe a Heisman favorite. No. Ahmad Hardy might be the leader in the pack for that right now. I'll take other answers because we are so early in the season, but the man's run for over 600 yards, and we still have a whole other week in September to play. That guy's play, he is the best running back in college football, and you found out the hard way on Saturday.
I'm going to give a winner for the callers. Reaction Monday. Great job. Measured.
Yep.
Fairly rational. Upset. Yes. Deservedly so.
Rightfully so.
But I think everybody was well-informed, and everybody's opinions were valid. And I think y'all did a great job today. It was a great Reaction Monday. We're going to move on. We'll watch the tape Tuesday tomorrow. We'll get specific on some things. But I thought y'all did a great job.
And final winner for me, everybody that watched along with us on Saturday. That was so much fun, and we're definitely going to be doing that again because that was a hit. That was a whole lot of fun. So thank you guys for hanging out with us in our new studio, Studio 803. and being able to watch along with us, and Contrary Cow for providing the refreshments, to say.
Quite tasty.
They were very tasty.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to sample my fair share of it. That's all for us today. More Reaction Monday. That continues all throughout the day here on The Game. Tyler Head, Jack Veltri, and the Extra Point. That's next.